Ah, what? No? Huh? Okay. Hari Om. Let's start with the prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanora Mardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Bande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Amadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We just finished the sloka 6. Says Sadhisthano Vimokshadau Jivodhikriyate Natu Kevalo Nisthana Vibhrantehe Vapya Siddhataha Vapya Siddhitaha. So sa adhisthana vimokshada jivaha adhikriyate. So jivaha adhikriyate. Jiva becomes a adhikari for the moksha, for moksha, for liberation, and for anything also, etc. Sa adhisthana, along with the kutastha chaitanyam. Because without this adhisthana, there cannot be any object existing. Therefore, mithya cannot exist without the satyam as a support. So, anytime there is a mithya, there has to be sat. So, in the whole world is Jagan mithya. I have to recognize that it is a mithya because there is a substantive which is satyam, and that itself is I am. So, I am the one who supports the whole universe. Mayeva sakalam jatam, mai sarvam pratishtitam, mai sarvam layam yamti, tad brahmadvayam advayam asmayam. So, in the Kaivalya Upanishad it says, I am the one who is adhishthanam there. And that's what is the recognition, that is moksha. So, without the adhisthana, without the support, you cannot have the names and forms. Superimposed names and forms cannot be there. An example we gave is, without the gold, you cannot have ring and a bangle and necklace, because bangle and necklace are superimposed on top of the gold, and they are only expression of gold in names and forms. In the same way, the existence is an expression itself in a various names and forms, and that's what the Jagat is nothing but Nama Rupatmakam. So each name is associated with the form, and form is an attribute. So each object has an attribute, but every object is nothing but the substantive, which is nothing but is the Sat. Even in science also, we'll say, well, fundamental particles. In the fundamental particles, at least from the material point, the so-called electrons, protons, or neutrons are adhishthanam, is the supporting for every object. So every object differs from other object, not from the adhishthanam point, not from the electrons, protons are same, irrespective of what you call, whether it's a garbage or food, whether it's a delicious food or stinking garbage. Adhishthanam is the supporting, they come from the electron, proton, neutrons, or the fundamental material sustained by that, and they go back into it. So there is no destruction of the material, because that's what law of conservation is. So same way, we are talking about absolute law of conservation, and that absolute law is from where it came is adhishthanam, that from which the whole universe came, by which it is sustained, into which it goes back, that Brahman. So yatova imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti yat prayam chabisham vishanti tad vijnasasva tad brahmeti. That's Brahman that is to be known. And therefore, he says that you cannot have even moksha also with the whole package. What are the package? Number one, it is all-pervading consciousness, OC, or the original consciousness. That is all-pervading. It's always, that is the adhisthana. And we have the local media that is reflecting. Therefore, the buddhi is the local medium, and from which the reflection occurs, and the reflection reflected consciousness or chidabhasa. So we have three aspects involved. One is the the OC, the original consciousness, all pervading, and from the original consciousness there is nothing of this. It's only pure Ekameva Advitiyam. But since we see it at the transaction level, we are talking about only from the Purusha point. Therefore, from the Purusha point, there are three components for a Purusha. One component, main component, Adhishtanam, is the all-pervading consciousness. And the second one is the inert material, reflecting medium, RM, and originally is OC consciousness. This is reflecting medium. Because the reflected medium has a capacity to reflect the consciousness, and in the process of reflecting, it behaves as though a conscious entity. Just as a moon has the capacity to reflect sunlight, and in the process of reflecting sunlight, it behaves as though it is a luminous entity in the sky. The same way applies to the buddhi. And from the antakarana, which is the buddhi, so sada sarvagatopyatma na sarvatrava bhasate buddhya veva bhaseta swacheshu pratibhimbhavatu. In the Atma Bodha, Shankara says, even though it's all pervading everywhere, it reflects mainly in the buddhi, because the buddhi has the capacity to reflect. So buddhya veva bhaseta. So avabhasan, the reflection occurs in the buddhi, and by reflecting, buddhi becomes as though a conscious entity. So it behaves as though I am. When I say I am conscious entity, statement is not made by the pure consciousness, it's statement made by buddhi, and that consciousness is not of the nature of the buddhi, it is borrowed consciousness only. So claiming that I am conscious entity is only because of the adhyasa. I am taking the property of the all-pervading consciousness and as though acting as my property. That's essentially what is called the adhisthana vimokshada jivo adhikriyate. So nadu kevalo, without the adhisthana, without the support, you cannot have the either jiva or the world or anything that we perceive in between. Go to the mantra 7. Adhishtanam sa samyuktam brahmam samavalambate. Adhishtanam sa samyuktam brahman samavalamvate. Yada tadaham samsari yada tadatmaham samsari icchevam jivo vimanyate. Icchevam jivo vimanyate. Together. Adhishtanam sa samyuktam brahmam samavalamvate. Yada tadaham samsari icchevam jivo bhimanyate. So adhisthana samyuktam, so brahmamsa mavalambate. Brahmamsa is the vyavaharika materials, and adhisthana samyuktam, along with the adhishtanam. Adhishtanam is Sachidanandam, that which is pure existent consciousness, Brahman. Along with the Brahman, this Brahma Amsha, this local body, mind, intellect behaves, amsha avalambate. It behaves as though I am a conscious existent entity. Avalambate is essentially together as though we along with the pure consciousness, and it takes as though it is the nature of the pure jiva is along with the sakshi, with the RM, with the reflecting medium and the reflected consciousness. Now in these three things we are talking about. One is the original consciousness, another is the reflecting medium buddhi, and third one is the reflection or chidabhasa. So OC, RM, RC. RC is reflecting consciousness, RM is reflecting medium, and OC is original consciousness. Now, the original consciousness can exist by itself, because that's what it is, the OC, without any presence of anything at all, because it's Ekameva Advitiyam. From Brahman point, there is nothing of the creation also. So from the original consciousness, it is ever existing and ever conscious all the time. But from the point of the reflecting medium, the reflecting medium cannot exist without the support of existence, number one. and it begins being the subtle material. It can reflect, and it cannot reflect without the presence of the original. So for reflection to occur, there should be original light. So reflection light cannot be there without the original light, and the reflecting medium also cannot be there without the support of the existent part of it. So existent part of it is supporting the inert buddhi, and the consciousness part is by reflection process is supporting the consciousness of the buddhi. So we have OC, RM, RC. Together is the Jiva. And the Jiva comes into picture. He says here, Adhishtanamsa Samyukta, along with the Adhishtan, along with this, the supporting from the consciousness existence, and Bhavamsa Avalambate. So the Avalambate, it takes the essential nature, the mithya, the bhava, the bhamamsha means the mithya is takes the role of the I exist and I am conscious. That is avalambate. Yada tadaham samsari ityevam jivo abhimanyate. Yada, so when I take tada aham, I am samsari. So when I identify myself, I means the reflected consciousness, or with the OC, with the RC and RM, when I take my nature is RC, RM, forgetting that I am the consciousness existence is coming from the original consciousness, then it is a samsari. So iti, then tada, then. So when I take this as I am myself, then I become a samsari. Why do I take I myself or I am this? Because I do not know that I am pure existent consciousness. So there is a pratibandhanam, that's what we discussed in the first chapter. There is a pratibandhanam. Pratibandhanam is obstruction. Obstruction is coming from avidya. Why avidya? Because Jiva is reflection of the not pure sat, pure sattvam, but along with the rajas and tamo gunas that contributes to malina sattvam, and that is because of avidya. So all that is self-consistent analysis here. So yada tadaham samsari. So then I am a samsari. When I am a samsari, when I identify myself with the jivaha abhimanyate. So I claim myself, I am a jiva. When I identify myself with only RM and RC, forgetting that I am OC or component is also there. In fact, that is the main component. So who is a jiva? So we have to be very clear. Jiva has three components. One is the original consciousness, another is the buddhi or antakarana, and the reflection of the consciousness in the antakarana, which is chidabhasa. So when I notion that I am a jiva comes into picture, when I identify myself with the RM and RC, with the reflecting medium and reflected the consciousness and existence, and when I take only that, then I am a samsari. How do I become a samsari? Because I take myself, this limited body, my intellect, because the adhishtanam is infinite and there is no limitations of any kind, but I take myself, I am this RM, which is limited. RM is reflecting medium, which is antakaranam, and then the stula sariram and all that identification. And when I identify myself, I am this, and this being limited, I become samsari because I don't like the limitations, because my true nature is infinite. And when I take myself what I am not as I am imposing limitations of the Prakriti on myself, and therefore I had to solve those limitations because I want to claim myself I am infinite. So the whole pursuit of life is trying to become infinite by pravrutti and nivrutti, by trying to gain this one and getting up that one. So likes and dislikes push me into this. Why? Because I have taken the properties of the buddhi and the body as my properties. And that's what his whole problem is. Samsari is only because in the process of doing actions, I get bound because of the ragadveshas and the vasanas form, and the vasanas propel me from one environment to another environment, to environment, so that I can become infinite in that environment. So this is trying to gain infinity by adding finite things, and it will never occur, it will never happen because it's illogical. But I cannot stop doing it. I will only stop doing it when I recognize myself, I am the pure Satchidananda. Then everything is not right. So samsarati is moving not only in this life from one place to other place in search of happiness. I am going from lokas and all that. So once I leave this body, I go travel in different lokas where I find vasanas is going to be pulling me there to exhaust those vasanas, and this goes on and on and on. That becomes a samsari. So essential of how a samsari jiva is formed is stated here. That is by identifying myself with this, which is essentially a Prakriti. But I am this is the ahankara, ego. Ego involves I am equal to this. This keeps changing, but I am the same. I am coming from the same which is unchangeless, that is pure existent consciousness, akhandara, but I am mixing with this, that is essentially called adhyasa. I am superimposing the property of this on myself and the properties of the body as a property of myself, because when the body is having pain, I say I am having a pain, and the body is small, I am small, body is short, I am short, body is big, I am big, body is having problems, I am having a problem. All the problems of the body and the problems of the emotional problems, and I am low, I am depressed, I this, I that, all those emotional problems that belong to the mind, I am superimposing on myself. And the intellectual personality is nothing but superimposition of the intellectual the properties of the intellect on myself. So by superimposing, that's called adhyasa, I am taking the properties of myself because I don't know myself. That is the main problem. And therefore I am taking what I am not as myself. So solution to the problem is what? Solution to the problem is to know myself. That's exactly what the first the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Atmanam Ched Vijaniyat. Therefore one should know oneself. One should know oneself is I don't know myself, therefore one should know myself. Otherwise the scripture doesn't say one should know oneself. Well, I know myself, I am this. Obviously I don't know myself, because when I say I am this, I don't know myself. Why? Because this cannot be I am a subject, this is an object. When I say I am this, obviously the confusion is right there and ignorance is right there. So everybody in the whole world, every jiva, every jiva says, who are you? He will describe pages and pages of who he is, I am this, I am that, and all that. Either with the emotional personality or intellectual personality or physical personality identification. So that's how samsara has formed. So how do you get rid of it? Is told in the next sloka. Anyonyadhyasa rupena kutasthabhasa yorvapuhu eki bhuya bhaved mukhyah. Did we miss something? Oh, we missed a sloka here. Oh, few slokas, sorry. So we have to go back to 7. So adhishtanam sa samyuktam brahmam samavalamvate yada tadaham samsari ichevam jivo bhimanyate. That's what we covered. So now we go to sloka 8. Brahmamsasya tiraskarat adhisthana pradhanata adhisthana pradhanata yada tada chidatmaham yada tada chidatmanam asangosmiti buddhyate asangosmiti buddhyate. Together, brahmamsasya tiraskarat adhisthana pradhanata yada tada chidatmaham asangosmiti buddhyate. So now in the previous statement, yada tadaham samsari. So yada tadaham, then I become a samsari. When will I become samsari? When I identify myself with this as I am this. And this includes starting from the reflecting medium, that is the buddhi, antahkaranam, and all the panchakoshas that we discussed before. All that identifying with I am that koshas, and I become a samsari. So yada tadaham samsari ityevam jivo abhimanyate. The same way he says yada tada chidatmaham. So whereas when I am chit atmaham, aham chit atma. So I am the essence of pure consciousness, and asangosmi iti buddhyate. I am untouched by any of this. That means when I recognize yada, when, tada, then, how do I recognize? Say brahmamsasya tiraskarat adhisthana pradhanata. So brahmamsasya tiraskarat, I have to reject the brahmamsa. Brahmamsa means the mithya amsha. I am not this, I am that pure Satchidanandam. So by rejecting this and claiming that I am that, I am essentially, so rejection is neti neti vakyani. I am not this, I am not this, I am not this, but I am adhishtanam, the support of this and the pure existent consciousness that I am. So adhishtanam, that is which is the, from which the whole universe came, by which it sustained, to which it goes back, that adhishtanam, which is nothing but akhanda satchidanam brahma. By claiming that, so brahmamsa tiraskarat adhisthana pradhanata, by giving importance to that, yada, when I do that, tadat, that sit atma aham, that chit atma, I am essentially pure consciousness that I am, chit amsh, chidatmaham, and asangaha asmi iti buddhyate. So buddhyate, I come to realize, I come to recognize, I come to claim myself that I am asangaha, untouched. Untouched means atyatishtaddashangulam. That's how the Purusha Suktam says, Sa Purusha evedagum sarvam yad bhutam yascha bhavyam utanutasya seshanaha yadannina tirohati etavanasya mahama ato jagam sa purusha padosya visva bhutani tripadasya amritam devi. So anyway, I went on to that. So essentially, brahmamsasya tiraskarat adhishtanam pradhanata. So by rejecting what I am not, how can I reject by, say I am, I should know who I am, by rejecting this. By rejecting this, I am not this, not this. Because this is an object, I am a subject. I cannot be object. I cannot be objectified. I cannot become an object. I am always a knower and this is a known. I am different from the known. I cannot be known because I know this body, I know my mind, I know my intellect. All the intellect things I know, all the emotional things I know, and all the physical problems I know. If I know, that means I am not that, because knower is different from a known. So by process of the Anvaya Vyatireka logic that we used in the first chapter, we have to continuously operate that. Whenever I identify myself, I am the body, I am having a problem, because identification occurs because of the many years and also many lives of that identification. So it's not easy to get rid of the identification, however much logically I know I am not this. Therefore, I had to firmly abide in the knowledge that I am not this, but I am that which supports the whole thing also. So I am not this yet, I am this also. That's where the problem is. And adhisthana pradhana, bhramamsasya tiraskara, by rejecting what I am not, claiming what I am. What I mean, I has to be consciousness, am stands for existence. I am consciousness, existence, which is being limitless. Therefore, I am Ananda Swarupa. I am Akhanda Satchidananda Swarupam. I have to claim myself, not that I am going to become something. I am already that, because I am part is coming from there only. I am part is getting mixed up with this part. So how do I tiraskara? How do I separate this? It's not a physical separation, because if it's physically I can mix, mixture, this and that all we mix together, we call it a mixture. But I can separate mixture by physically, because they are separable. But whereas this is not separable, because they are together, and I cannot separate myself physically by process of physical separation. I had to do it by intellectually, because there are two degrees of order. It is like trying to separate gold from a ring. How do I separate gold from a ring? If I remove the gold, there is no ring there. So using the ring itself, I had to see it's only gold. How I do it? By viveka, by discrimination. Gold, from gold it came, by gold it is sustained, into gold it goes back. If I change the ring into bangle, ring is gone, bangle has come, and changeless entity is the gold. So by process of analysis, which is viveka. What's a viveka? Nitya, anitya, vastu viveka. What is nityam? What is eternal, and what is anityam? What is ephemeral? I need to know what is that which is keep changing, and what is that changeless entity. All that I had to analyze using the viveka. So viveka becomes extremely important in order to do tiraskara, brahmamsasya tiraskara, in order to reject the mithya and claim I am the sat adhisthana pradhanata. The substantive, what I am rejecting is not really this, but only superficial name and form I am rejecting. At the same time, recognizing that I am the very substantive. How do you say, how do you know that? Scripture says, that is what Shruti is. It says, Aidadatmam yadagam sarvam tat satyam sa atma tattvamasi svetaketu. So tattvamasi svetaketu comes after statements. It says, Aidadatmam yadagam sarvam tat satyam. So idam sarvam, everything, this whole universe that is there, everything is, the essence of that is that sat that we have been talking about, because the whole chapter starts with, from which the sat was alone was there, sadeva saumya vidamagama sidekame vadvitiyam, and so on and so forth. So from that sat only it came. So everything is nothing but sat only. So aitanatma yudagam sarvam tat satyam, that is satam, and that is you are that, and that is what the tattvamasi statement implication is. So yada ata siddhatmaham asangosmiti bhujyate. So once I recognize that I am the pure consciousness, then asangaha asmiti, I am untouched by any of this. So I do not have the problems of any of the body, mind, intellect at all. And therefore the body, mind, intellect problems does not touch me, even though I am the very adhara, support for it. So I have to be very careful here. It says, even though I am the very substantive of the whole thing, I am asangaha, untouched. So the ring, attributes of the ring, and attributes of the bangle, and attributes of the necklace will not affect the gold. Why? Because gold and the ring are not ontologically of the same order. Gold is a higher order of reality compared to the ring. So property of the ring, ID, OD, and if I distort it or bit the ring, that is untouched by gold, AU. AU is the chemical name for gold. So it is untouched by the gold itself. That gold can declare that Mayatadamidam sarvam jagad avyakta murtina mastani sarva bhutani nacha aham teshu avastitaha. So nacha aham teshu avastitaha. Their properties and belongs do not belong to me, untouched by it. And asangoham punah punaha sachidananda rupoham ahameva ahamavya. I am untouched by any of this itself, and therefore I can declare by claiming myself I am that adhisthana pradhanata. I am the pure adhishtanam, that which is the very essence from which the whole universe came, by which it sustained and it which goes back. That is the adhishtanam, and that is how I can reorient myself. In the previous sloka, he mentioned about how Jiva came into picture by identifying myself with this. Now I de-identify myself and claim myself as a glory, because I am, when I say I am, I am only body. I claim I am a conscious entity. Body is there, body is inert entity. No one claims that I am inert. Therefore, I am a conscious entity, I am an existent entity. And that claim is because I am part is always there, and that never changes, even though body, mind, intellect is completely changing. So pratyabhijnaha. So that which is changeless entity in all these changing things is what the essence of adhishtanam, and that is what is essentially adhisthana pradhanata. So from the Jiva I can go to the claim that I am pure, and that is exactly the statement of the Upanishad says Atmanam ched vijaniyam, that I have to know that I am that Atma, or I am the self that is all pervading adhishtanam of the whole universe. And that is the declaration by the scripture itself. And by declaring that, says I will have the problems of this property of the body, mind, intellect will not be affecting, because I am asangha. Body, mind, intellect will have problems. Nothing will be different. Body will undergo its problems, mind will have its problems, intellect will not have problems. But I recognize that I don't have a problem because I am asangaha. So it says untouched by any of this. That's why Krishna says, Mayatadamidam sarvam jagad avyakta murtina. I pervade this entire universe in unmanifested form. Mastani sarva bhutani. All beings are in me. Yet, achaham teshu avastitaha. Their problems do not belong me. Because asangoham punah punaha. I am untouched by any of that. So by claiming I am that, now we ask, the Purva Paksha comes into picture. So he has defined Jiva, and he has also defined the absolute Moksha also. The liberation for the Jiva also has been defined in the previous two slokas. First, that in the seventh sloka, he defined the Jiva. In the next sloka, he defined the liberation of the Jiva by claiming myself, I am the Adhisthana Atma. Now the question, a Purva comes into this picture. It says, what you will, after that, what do you say? Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. I am infinite, Akhanda, Satchidananda Swarupam. That becomes my claim, because I am already that. But now I claim, because I mistook myself for something other than myself. Now I know who I am. That is, I am Akhanda Satchidananda Swarupam. That means Aham Brahmasmi, I claim. Now the question is, who says I am Brahmasmi? Purva said, you are saying these components are there. One is the pure, the Sakshi, which is essentially the OC in our this one, the original consciousness, the Satchidananda, all pervading. And then you said there is a Buddhi and the reflecting medium, and the reflecting medium acts as though it is a conscious entity, and it is the one that is having a samsara, because pure consciousness doesn't have any samsara. In fact, there is no creation itself from the pure point. Now the question is, who says Aham Brahmasmi? Does Chidabhasa say I am Brahmasmi? Chidabhasa means the reflected consciousness, because Buddhi cannot say. Buddhi is the inert by itself. Only activated Buddhi, enlivened Buddhi, that Buddhi, enlivening factor comes from the reflected consciousness. Does Chidabhasa say that I am Brahmasmi? Does the Buddhi say Aham Brahmasmi? Or does the pure absolute consciousness say Aham Brahmasmi? Who says Aham Brahmasmi here? It's a good question. Basically, I will say, yes, I have to realize. Who has to realize? If I have realized I am a Jnani, who is a Jnani here? So essentially, he is questioning the fundamental question: who says Aham Brahmasmi? Does Chidabhasa say, or that is Kutastha say? Chidabhasa with the reflection consciousness cannot be there without reflecting medium. So Chidabhasa along with the reflecting medium, does it say that I am the Brahman? So interesting whether this question comes into picture, because who realizes what? How am I going to realize Aham Brahmasmi to start with? This is very, very important, because pure consciousness, which is all pervading, does not have to realize. It need not have to realize, because it is Ekameva Advitiyam, one without a second. There is no realization question itself, because there is nothing other than itself. It is one without a second. There is no Sajati Vijati Swagata Beda. All Vedas are not there. It is one homogeneous mass of pure existent consciousness which is limitless. And it doesn't have to realize, there is nothing to, there is no Jnanam, Na Jnanam, and nothing there. So we cannot say that has to realize. And then the Antakaranam, which is the inner instrument, the intellect also cannot realize, because its Buddhi is limited because this Buddhi is different from another Buddhi there. And that Buddhi, so I am Brahmasmi is a how can it claim that I am infinite when it is finite? So that cannot claim. Chidabhasa is only reflection in the Buddhi, localized Buddhi. So Chidabhasa cannot say I am infinite. This is strange. Who is going to claim that I am infinite? That's the question. So here he puts that question in the verse form. Na sangeham krutir yukta, na sangeham krutir yukta, katamasmiti chesrunu, katamasmiti chesrunu, eko mukhya dvava mukhyau, eko mukhya dvava mukhyau, ityartha trividohamaha, ahamaha. So Trividaha ahamaha. So Eko mukhyo dvava mukhyo ityartha trividohamaha. Okay. Together. Na sangoham krutir yukta kadamasmiti chesrunu eko mukhyo dvava mukhyao ityartha trividohamaha. So na asangaha, no asangaha aham krutir yukta. So nasangaha stands for that which is untouched, and that is pure existent consciousness, akandara, that is sakshi. Aham krutir yukta. So that aham krutihi. So aham krutihi, that I am kruti, I am Brahman. Katamasmiti. How can it say that I am Brahman? This pure existent consciousness that is all pervading, that Kutastha Chaitanyam, which is nothing but pure Akanda Chaitanyam, how can it claim that Aham Brahmasmi? Iti chet, in case that question is right, that means question has been raised by a Purvapaksha, Sunu. Okay, listen to this answer. So here in the first line, says the objection is being pointed out, and what is the answer to that? So in that case, listen to this. It says eko mukhyo dvava mukhyo ityartaha trivido ahamaha. This I amness, that I am that we are talking about in the transactional world, has three meanings associated with it, and it is one mukhya, one important one, and two others. So one eko mukhyaha and dva mukhya. So there are three important. One is more important, another is less important, or another depending upon the reference state here. He's going to explain anyway. So eko mukhyo dva mukhyo ityarthaha. This is the meaning for trividha. So trividho ahamaha. So there are three meanings associated with I am. And what are the three meanings? He is going to tell. In a sense, he is going to say one meaning that everybody uses, I am. That one meaning everybody uses, and they are ignorant people use. And for them, what is I am is only this body, mind, intellect with the superimposed consciousness. That's all they use in the transactional world. And life after life people use. People spend whole life, nobody will find out who I am, because they know that they are, and everybody has big diodata and I am this, and everybody so happy about how big they are or how great they are and so on, and they advertise all over the place also how great. And that is essentially the Vidyaranya calls it mudaha. Muda means deluded fools, and that's what is the normal answer. And there are two other answers that the Trividha, right? First one is everybody uses, that's common factor. And the second one is those who are sadhakas they understand it, at the same time they are not able to claim, and they are the sadhakas. And the third one is the one liberated. So depending upon whom you ask, the I am keeps changing until one recognizes I am that absolute. And that we are going to take slowly in the response to the question is being what are those three factors is being explained in the next sloka also. With this we stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.